Now, one of my teachers used to pretty much did hunting at the time of the story. This happened to her maybe sometime in 2014, and it was around fall of that year. Now, I'm gonna call her by the name Sydney for the sake of this story. Sydney actually was one that liked to do hunting, and she had been doing hunting for many years. Now, there was a lot of hunting places she went to, and obviously hunt for some deer, and etc. She never had a problem with hunting, and of course, even though I don't really like hunting, but it's really neat that she has something to do. Now, she was by herself as her husband was out at work, and of course, her sons were at school, and her daughter was even at high school at the time. Now, she was by herself, and Sydney took her two dogs there. They were both German Shepherds, and they were hunting dogs. Now, while she was there, she ended up walking around looking for any sort of deer. Deer were like the jackpot of the game. So she was walking around when she all of a sudden sees something in the middle of the woods. At first, she thought that it could have been a bear, but it didn't look like a bear at all. It looked more like a deer. She had her gun and she was about ready to shoot the deer when all of a sudden, whatever it was stood up on hind legs and then looked around. When she took a shot, the deer didn't die or anything. It just stood up. Confused as to why it did that, it then suddenly looked at Sydney and then started walking towards it. Now, at this point, Sydney was already panicking, not sure what to do. Whatever it was staring at her until it started letting out a really loud roar. As soon as it let out a loud roar, whatever it was, Sydney took a shot at again to try and scare away whoever it was. And whatever that creature was, it then took off running into the woods. Now, Sydney ran back the way she came until she got in her truck and she sped off with her dogs. She never went hunting by herself for a while, and she wasn't so sure as to what this creature was. She told her husband, and her husband said, "Oh, yeah, that's a Wendigo. They're out there." Sydney was very shocked to see that it was a Wendigo in the woods that she shot. At first, she wasn't sure as to what it was, but now she realized it was a Wendigo. She gets really paranoid every time he does hunting by herself, thinking that she might end up seeing that Wendigo again. But she hasn't seen him since, and she hopes that it stays that way. Now, one of my friends did hunting. Well, he didn't really do hunting, but his parents did. This was taking place sometime in the early to late 90s. His parents at the time of this story were last names were Henderson. Now, the Hendersons actually did a lot of hunting at the time of this story. Now, when they did hunting, they did a lot of stuff such as hunting, fishing, hiking, etc. However, one of the times when they were hunting, they came across something that seemed to be really messed up. Now, the Hendersons were going wing hunting for the weekend at a ground where hunting and camping was still allowed. Now, now they went in that area, and as they went to that area, they drove there, and they ended up pitching a tent there. Once they did that and get settled in, the first night went very well. However, it wasn't until the second night where things got really bizarre. Now, this is when things started to get really messed up. And not really entirely yet, but it does get a little interesting. The Hendersons decided to go hunting in the woods the next morning, and after they ate breakfast, they went for hunting in the woods. As they were on a trail, they ended up looking around, and of course, they found a few hunting towers, and they went up there to see if they could scope out the area. They didn't really see too much to do, but of course, they came across other hikers and hunters and waved to them as they went by. However, as they were going forward, they came across what seemed to be like something in the woods. Now, at the time, it was already starting, the sun was starting to go down, and of course, they were on their way back from hunting. They all of a sudden looked to see that there was a pair of eyes about maybe 9 feet tall from the ground. Those eyes were gold, and they obviously didn't even look human. Now, Mr. Henderson looked and asked if it could be a bear, but it didn't look like a bear at all. Since it was far in the forest, they couldn't really see what the outline of the creature was. Whatever it was just staring at them, and Mr. Henderson fired a shot to scare away whoever it was. Of course, the shot obviously missed the creature, and Miss Henderson was just frozen in fear, unsure of what to do. Whatever that creature was massive, and it then turned around, and then it ran in the other direction. It let out a really unsettling roar, and at this point, this really scared Mr. and Mrs. Henderson. They obviously weren't sure as to what that creature was, so they ran back the way they came until they came across their campsite. While they were there, they ended up packing up what they can and then going back to their truck, where they ended up driving out of the park. As they were heading out of the park, they alerted the park rangers and explained where they saw it, and they said that they would look into it. They never got an update regarding what they saw in the woods, as Mr. and Miss Henderson aren't sure as to what that creature was they saw in the forest. They think that it could have been a bear, but that possibility had problems as well, and whatever it was definitely no bear. They still aren't sure as to what that creature was to this day, and they still get really nervous every time they think about this, wondering what this creature could have done. It could have been a lot worse. They still never went hunting again since that day, and it still terrifies them to this day.